book. The next project is called Rollercoasters and Gardens because those are our inspirations. We're going to use the elements and principles to create an abstract design incorporating repetition. There's a huge amount in this PowerPoint. We're not going to go over everything. This is the vocabulary, how to set it up. Those are the words you're going to be looking at. The three main words: representational art, abstract art, and non-representational or non-objective. So representational means it represents something like fish, people, and nature. Abstract is representational artwork whose subjects stress the elements of art like lines and shapes rather than accurately depicting the subject. So you can see the subject, but it's distorted. And non-representational, non meaning not, it's not representing anything. There's no objects in the artwork. There's no figures, flowers, whatever. And then we have some of our other vocabulary: additive process, adding things together. Medium, you already know, is the material. Composition is how you put it together. A lot of times we use the word design, how you design something, how you compose something. You can compose music, you can compose art. Rule of three is a thoughtful method to create variety and intrigue in your artwork. It's if you put circles in your project, try to do three sizes: small, medium, large. If you put an object somewhere in your picture, make sure you do it 3 times. It's a way of having repetition and unity in your work. And a relief sculpture, you already know, a sculpture 3D surface that projects from the background. Okay, learning about art. We're going to look at some representational, non-representational, and abstract works of art by professional artists. So this first one, can you imagine using thorns as the medium for your artwork? So medium, material. And those thorns create lips. So that is a relief. It's sticking out from the background. It's representational, represents lips. We have repetition, and the medium is thorns. This one is a relief. It's a 3D surface. It's representational, but it is abstract. You can see there's a figure of a person in here. There's a shadow. You have an essence of either maybe being in a room or outdoors. In some parts here, it's a little dreamy. It goes back and forth. Lots of repetition in here with objects and colors. And the medium is an assemblage of non-art materials. Okay, this is also a relief. It's on the wall and these parts are sticking out. It's a representational abstract. You can see the water and the shore. It's not exactly buildings, but it has that sense of like a torn down buildings, perhaps after a disaster of some sort. We have repetition, and the medium is wood, mainly. This is another one by the same artist. Again, would you consider it representational, being abstract, or non-representational? Do you think this is also representing that shore area with perhaps a natural disaster going on? And we have repetition and wood. This one is a representational artwork. You can see it looks like an ocean. We got waves going on. It's a relief. It's a 3D surface. Lots of repetition in here. And this has a very tricky medium. It's fish hooks. Okay, so all of that together is making that image made from fish hooks. All right, this one, it's a relief. It's a little bit of a textured surface. It's not very 3D. Non-representational. It's not representing anything. It's just abstract design. Lots of repetition in shapes and forms there. And the medium, if you think about it, it'll come to you. They're pantyhose. This one is made up of little tiny pieces of aluminum, very similar to the aluminum repoussé project we did. Again, it's non-representational. There's no picture. It doesn't represent anything. We have lots of repetition, and there's metal and wire in it. Again, another relief, a wall piece, non-representational. Or would you consider it abstract? Do you think it's trying to show like a cross-section of the earth and trees, and this is trying to imply that? So that's up to you. Do you think it's representing something, or do you think it's just totally designed? I'm thinking it falls along the line of abstract. Lots of repetition in there with the different shapes and stones, and then we have these lines here, and I'm not sure, but I think this is made of wood or metal. This one is a relief also. It's 3D surface, non-representational, does not represent anything. There's no picture in there. We have lots of repetition. There's all these little circles in here, this texture. And this is the same image. I want you to notice the dark spot moves across the surface depending on where I stood to take the photos. It's because it's made of straws. So whenever I'm looking straight at it, the shadows are being caught, or I can see all the way to the back of the straw. When I sit in front of it here, I can see all the way to the back, and that's what's making the shadows there. Again, this is a relief, non-representational, does not represent anything. Lots of repetition of these little tiny boxes wrapped with strings, and they have little Chinese lettering on them. This is another piece by the same artist. They've changed the colors up on here. But again, it's a relief. It's 3D from the wall. Doesn't represent anything. There's no objects like overall that
It's 7:30.
that you see in it. And the same little boxes. This, believe it or not, is a single sheet of folded paper. So it's kind of like origami. The artist was very patient to create this. So it's a relief, non-representational. There's no picture in there, lots of repetition. This one, again, a wall relief. This is most similar to the project we're going to be doing. It's non-representational. You don't see any picture in there, lots of repetition. And the medium, I can't remember from where I saw it. I just took the picture because I liked it. But it could be made out of, I would think, maybe felt, possibly rubber or foam. This is beyond relief. This is a 3D sculpture. And it plays a lot with the negative space here. We have repetition, we have rhythm and movement. You have like the curvy lines in here contrasting to the geometric shape of the cube, and the medium is paper. This was a student who did a piece of a phoenix, abstract, tore apart newspaper, painted it so it had a burnt look to it. Composed of many pieces of paper on there. It has rhythm and movement, negative space. The medium is cardboard and spray paint. And it's an abstract bird design. This one I thought was fun. I saw it on Facebook. Anyways, the images and stuff that you can create are unlimited. If you want to get creative enough to make pieces like this, I have X-Acto knives. It's a lot of work, but it's up to you. If you'd like to do something above and beyond the assignment, feel free. Inspiration. I want you to think about an aerial view of a botanical garden or an amusement park with roller coasters, and that's where the title Rollercoasters and Gardens comes from. So we have something that has movement and curves around, has repetition, has unity, moves your eye through the piece. Okay, but we have a little design work here. So imagine these things being made out of paper, some lines going long and leading your eye around, some being short and just having repetition. Nice complexity right here. This would work great for your project. And here's some sample projects. The nice thing about the abstract design is after you make it, you can decide which way you think it looks best. Probably about 3/4 of the way through, you'd make that decision, and then you can add some things to finish it off. But we're going to make projects that project from the background. The advanced students will be making extremely 3D pieces. And you can see there's lots of repetition in here with the different pieces. These holes are made from a hole punch. The student took the abstract idea here. You can see it's a dragon, but it's a nice organic shape. So he incorporated that into the project. And learning through practice. So we're going to create a little practice flower type thing where it's going to be a radial design with repetition, and then it's going to have like a stem coming off of it where you're going to lead the viewer's eyes down to the bottom. You're going to make different pieces of paper. We're going to work with 4 basic designs: the scroll, the triangle, the little ribbony look, and these little scrolls, half scrolls there. So your overall practice design is going to be create a focal point at the top by building a radial design on the top halves. Start with small folded squares or the little spirals and create something here. Then add to it and keep spiraling out, creating a bigger and bigger radial design until the top is filled. Then create movement with the little S-shaped pieces down here. So it's going to resemble kind of like a flower with vines coming off of it. I did not have a sample to show you because last time we did this, we kind of did it in separate pieces, and I thought it would be better this time to actually create a composition and practice that. So this is what we did previously. This is another previous example. So they start with a radial design and then just build on it. So again, these are the 4 types of pieces we're going to work with. You're going to start by cutting 1/2 inch and 1 inch strips of paper. Cut geometric shapes from your strips. We got triangles, we got straight lines, we have these little hills and little squares. The squares get folded in half and they become little triangular shapes. So these are all about a 1/2 inch wide, so 1/2 inch squares there. And just fold them. And you can see I made a little transition here. That could be part of a design. This is folded tight and gradually it goes out flat. To make skinny strips into a curl, you do the little ribbon trick where you hold it against the scissors and pull, and it, I don't know exactly what it does to the paper, but it makes a curl. And you can do it also on the little hills here. You can make it just one big curve like a C shape, or you can curve both sides and create an S shape. To get a tight scroll, roll it around a pencil. The trick is to keep it straight right here. Keep that edge lined up when you roll it, and use your pieces to create your sample sheet. So think flower. Here's an example starting with the little triangles. So you can see I had like 2 rows of triangles there. There's the 3rd row, 4th row, 5th row, giving a little spiral. Then at this point you would start adding some of the other shapes into there. You could start out with this little scroll. You could put it this direction, and then add the little triangles. Like this could be your starting point, and then you add on to it. To create movement and move the person's eyes, the viewer's eyes down the page, you need to have a connection, kind of like little rivers. That's what we called them last year. Like try to create the current and a little river flowing. And this one's a little combination. You can see it's got the big spiral in the middle, and then the little triangles and the little river pieces there. And let's see. The project should incorporate repetition, an organic background shape, rhythm and movement, and there should not be any negative space on the project itself. We have our rubric, which we'll look at closer later. Of course, identification, balanced and complex, unity, repetition, variety, no negative space on the project itself, and submitting on time. And the county rubric here always develops complex solutions to visual problems. If you want an A, it's got to be a complex solution. Composition help, balance. Whenever you create a design element, a color, a shape, or a texture at the top, repeat it at the bottom. If you do it on the left, repeat it on the right. Use it at least 3 times. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it's similar enough to give your composition unity. You can use the rule of 3 to help you create variety. Rule of 3 is to keep in mind that your composition, or to keep your composition so it's both intriguing and has unity. When you create a design element, use it 3 times, but give it variety, like small, medium, large, light, gray, dark, tall, medium, short. And your final project, this goes over some of the steps for making it, making the background shape. These pictures were from last year to help with the students who were doing home virtual. So you guys are going to use nicer materials than Pop Secret. Okay, and we have some vocabulary help there. All right, so back to roller coasters and gardens, and you guys should have fun with this. All right, bye.